Welcome back to the Woman Magic Podcast, everybody. My name is Casey Marnucci, and I'm so thrilled to have the creator of Mental Sugar here, Briara. Briara, I am so thrilled to have you. I'm so thankful that you're here. Your Instagram name is literally the epitome of what you exude, and I feel like I have said that to you in different ways, like by answering you via story, but I think you're fantastic.
Oh, thank you, my darling. That made my day, to be honest. I'm so glad we found each other on Instagram.
Me too.
It's so random, but it was meant to be.
Oh yeah, it was definitely, and I actually really appreciate your, obviously your presence, of course, first and foremost, but I also really appreciate the topic that you're bringing today on the show. Because I know we're going to go far today. I know we're going to do different things. We're going to go all over the place. But I do want to just ask, just so everybody can get to know you a little bit for fun. Let's start it off there. If you want to let everybody know a little bit about yourself, you can let them know anything. I'm sure they'll absorb it, take it in, love it.
Of course. So I'm Briara, Mental Sugar. And where should I start the journey? Well, I have always wanted to help people. We come here as souls to serve. And the way that we serve is different depending on what our mission is on this planet. And so for me, I went to school for psychology, wanting to be a psychologist, like a doctor, and went through it. I loved it, had so much fun. Went back, I got my master's degree. And after that, I had to make a choice because where I live, there aren't many opportunities, I guess, for psychology-based learners or, careers, I guess. And I had to make a decision. Was I going to move from a place that I love? My dad is here. We're best friends and everything like that. Or, moving to Seattle or, I'm in Montana. So moving to Seattle or one of these bigger places where I could get a job that, quote unquote, quantifies success. And I didn't want to move. I didn't want to sacrifice my happiness and my peace and being around my dad and everything like that just for money. That just did not make sense to me. And a lot of people expected me to leave because they were like, oh my gosh, you can't make money here. And I'm just like, well, it's not about the money. It was more just about being done with trying to prove I was enough to the world. And I was just like, I'm enough no matter where I am. And so I began to look into different ways to, I guess, showcase my expertise for people and have people just see, what I'm about and see if they would want to work with me. And it was, I guess I DIY'd my coaching program like a lot of us do. We just want to get out there and help people and see, who resonates with us. And along the way, I made one of my biggest investments in myself for coaching. And even though I don't want to say the coaching didn't pan out the way I thought it would, because it actually gave me a different perspective on money. So I always like to look at experiences like that and how is this happening for me? Because $12,000 is a lot of money to put down. And I did that to show myself that I deserve this, So it was scary, but it was so thrilling. I feel like my soul needed that burst of just what's happening? That burst of life and just the not knowing and the freedom to really choose, I'm choosing this for myself. I didn't ask anybody. I'm not seeking approval. I'm not doing the typical, work the 20 years and, and then do something great with your money. I didn't want to wait. I wanted it now because I felt like I was suffocating. I knew I didn't feel good in my everyday. And so that was like the breaking of the chains, I guess, from the typical, and it felt so good. And so from there, I would say I expanded myself without even really realizing it, because I would tell myself, Briara, you did that. So what else can you do? And so even though that didn't really work out, mental sugar was created as well. So that was huge. And from there, I just really have always had a passion for choosing for yourself, like just exposing yourself to the options that are out there instead of just the knowledge that we're fed, from a young age. Because, even when I was younger, I suffered from a lot of people pleasing, not wanting to rock the boat with anybody, and being that very obedient child, and just looking to, you know, be the good girl. Like I wanted, and it's funny because even as like a twin, my twin sister was like the challenger, they would say, and she always got more attention. And I'm just like, but I'm the good girl. Like, I should be getting more attention here, but it didn't work out that way. So it really got me down to like a spiral of, wanting to prove myself in relationships, and, the work hard ethic, like you stick to it and then it'll all pay off, and they'll see and, cherish you more after they see how much you, work hard in the relationship, and they'll change and blah, 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 blah. And it was just so draining, and it was like a waiting game. Like, what am I waiting for?
Mm-hmm.
And I could not do that. And so, from there, studying psychology made sense for me. But yeah, I had a rough go in the beginning of it, just with all of that. And I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I was very distressed. I try to use that word carefully because I feel like a lot of people use it to, just throwing it out there, But I was never like diagnosed with depression or anything like that. But I was very distressed and self-harmed, and it was pretty devastating. And I just knew I did not want to live that way forever. So yeah, I sort of rambled, but how's that?
Listen, there is no such thing as rambling on this show. Don't worry about it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that, Briara. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So you spoke on purpose, and you spoke on how there was like this this push pull between like, what am I to do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the question is, how did you move through these emotions and really connect your soul with mental sugar? Like, how did that happen?
I love that question. So in my hardest of times, I realized that my thoughts were moving too fast. And when my thoughts were moving too fast, I didn't know what I was endorsing, if that makes sense. So I would say it really got rough when I left home when I went to college. But I had to realize what I was supporting mentally. So I was supporting, I wasn't enough. I have to prove myself. I'm not enough. People will only like me if I wear this, or the guy will only like me if I prove myself over and over again, and I'm always there for him, and, them first before me. And all these things I realized, and I don't really know what the shift was, but I just remember being in my dorm room and just being like, okay, and I was getting into like spirituality and stuff, and I was like, spirit, God, universe, I need a sign because I am drowning. Like, I didn't know what to do, but I just felt terrible. And I just knew, life did not have to feel this way, because I was looking at my roommates and looking at everyone else. And I'm like, people seem so happy. Like, they feel so good to be around. Like, my soul just felt so lit up when I was around them. I'm like, I want to be that for other people. Like, I don't want to feel like this Debbie Downer, like the jealousy, the bitterness, all these feelings. And so my friend, a couple days later, introduced me to The Power of Now, that book. And I didn't read the whole thing, but like even just half of it was like life changing. And even just reading a book that I was interested in like changed my thoughts and slowed me down to the point where I was able to reflect back, how they say, like, be the seer of your thoughts, don't be the thought. And so I got to see what thoughts I was actually endorsing every single day. And I was like, damn, Briara, no wonder why you feel so worthless, really. And so from there, I started journaling. And that was something small that I could commit to myself every night, even if I fell asleep with a pen in my hand, even if there are tears dripping down my face. And I still have the very first journal I really committed to. And you can tell, like, even from my handwriting, when I was mad, like, it would be all like scratchy. And when I was like calm and, just talking things out with myself, the handwriting looked very different. But I did that for 2 years straight. Even if it was just a paragraph, I had to write something down. And people ask me, like, what do you write down? Or like, how do you like get into journaling? And I honestly believe everyone should journal. I know they say like different things like human design and, zodiac and all this stuff, and how, not everyone is meant to journal. Everyone can journal. That's what I'm saying. Like, everyone can do it, and it's only going to do you something good. Because people always say to me, my thoughts are too fast. And I'm like, that's okay. Just write down what you catch, And so the way I journaled, and I didn't really know what to do. I just got a cute journal and a pretty pen. I was like, I look forward to it.
So
I
cute.
just wrote down what happened in my I just wrote down what happened in my day, from the moment I woke up to, me going to class, who I talked to, and things like that. And it's funny because in the beginning, it was a lot of negative. Like, my seeing eyes were only seeing the negative. And so I knew this was the process. I would write down, my roommate woke up before me and she slammed the door. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I had a single, and all these things. And I went to the dining hall and I ran out of my favorite breakfast and like all these things. But I made sure at the end of it, even if the whole thing was negative, was that I ended with something positive. So I was like, and I didn't know I was doing this at the time, but I was retraining my brain to see the world differently. And so even if it was something small, like the guy next to me let me borrow his pencil for class. And I was like, okay, that was something nice. He did not have to do that. My friend held the door open for me. So I was like, I had to like search. Like, I did not see the world at all through life happening for me. And so I did that for 2 years. And before I knew it, my journal entries were positive. And I was like, I didn't see anything that really bad happened to me. Even though if someone would have came up to me and said, Briara, he just cut you in line. Like, bruh, why'd you let him do that? I'm like, did he? I didn't see it. So it's like, it takes time, but that time that you devote to yourself, you're showing yourself love and worth and care. And the things that we really look to other people for, we become the fountain for ourselves. So that's sort of how I transitioned, I guess. And from there, life just felt better. And I started doing things I wouldn't do before. Typically I'd be the one in the back, shying away, not really interacting with people. And then before I knew it, I was the first one on the dance floor. Like I felt so good, and people noticed that and they're just like, oh my gosh, you're so fun. I'm like, am I? Sweet. And so I just gradually switched into, life is happening for me. And even though there's, of course, rough bumps in the road, and, there's those people and experiences we can't control, but we always have to resort back to the power that we have, which is a lot. And that's how we respond to it and how we decide to navigate. So, and I was adamant on, no experience, no person is going to take my power from me. So I just, I want to see them try, but it won't happen. So I just was like, I will not go back to feeling that way, because it just felt and like it was doing nothing for me. It was doing nothing. Like it wasn't even, I know sometimes I would want to feel bad just to make someone else feel bad about what they said to me, or, things. It was doing nothing for them. They were going on with their life. It was just me holding in all this toxic, emotions, and I'm sure hurting my body physically, mentally, and all of that. And I'm like, Briara, while you're here, you need to make this fun. So that's what I realized.
Wow. First of all,
Yay.
what a powerful share. Like what a powerful like story of the evolvement of self, Like I
Mm.
find it so interesting that the only two tools that you put in front of yourself were,
Mhm.
I'm going to say three actually. The three tools you put in front of yourself was your journal, your
Mhm.
self-discipline, your higher
Mm.
self, and then just for like a bonus, your like beautiful pen.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that so much. And I just think that it's really cool that like your higher self like played a role in this. Like it seems like
Mhm.
it like trickled in like every day it was like trickling in just a little bit,
Yeah.
you know
Exactly.
that's power, and
Mhm.
um I really think that the power came through the trust in your discipline, you know
Mhm.
so I just wanted to like gush over that for a second, because like I was like, oh my god, like as I'm listening to it, like that is so inspiring.
Of
And
course.
so tell me real quick, the name Mental Sugar, where did it come
Mm.
from?
Yeah, so it's so funny because I'm an overthinker, and I can remember I was in this apartment, and me and my twin talk like 10 times a day, and I was making tea, and we were just talking like, what do you want? My twin was asking me, what do you want your name to be? And I was like, I don't want it to be serious, but I want it to be obvious. And I was just like, overthinking. And I was just making tea, and I was like, should it be like honey? Like, and I was just like, Briara, stop overthinking it. And it took me a while to like, I was throwing names at my twin, and she says I'm like the best at naming things, but I was just like, when it comes to me, I overthink it, and I'm just like, ah. But before she hung up, she was like getting irritated with me. Before she hung up, I was like, mental sugar. How was that? And she was like, oh, that's really cute. I was like, okay, I'm not changing it. That's what it's going to be. So it just happened while I was making tea. And I don't even use sugar often in my tea, but I always use honey. But I was like, honey doesn't really, I like healing honey. I was like, should it be like something like that? But mental sugar, I guess it quantifies my psychology background, but also wanting life to feel good. Like your mental mindset should be in support of you, So yeah, so that's how it happened, and it just sort of stuck.
I have to tell you that I appreciate your rainbows. Like you have so many rainbows in your like photos and like,
Yeah.
you know, in yourself when you talk, and like it reminds me of like what mental sugar would look like. You know what I mean? Like you of
Mm,
course, you know,
yeah.
like your face of course, like what you look like of course, but then also like these beautiful and gorgeous like images behind like what your intention is, and I find that to be like
Mm.
so like I love it. um
Yay! That's awesome. I never thought about that. I love that. That's cool.
Thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. So I have to ask because we had our conversation via DM. We were really getting deep into a lot of different things,
Yeah.
and you touched upon it in your introduction of yourself, which I really appreciate.
Hmm.
And just like all people and or most people, when we go into mental health, there's a reason, you know, whether it be
Hmm.
like from our just interest childhood, like, you know, ourselves, like whatever it is, like I'm with you, like every single part of your share, like of your like education, your master's, everything, same.
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
so um i
Love
wanted
that.
I wanted to ask you, you know, there are a lot of people out there that are struggling with purpose. They're struggling with their mental health. You know, well, obviously we'll tackle everything one at a time, but
Hmm.
you know, especially right now, people are struggling with like, you know, suicidality, drug abuse, stuff like that.
Hmm.
I want to ask you, based on what you shared and how your thought process was and where you were in your life, where does one try to get intimate with purpose when they're in a dark place?
Yes. So purpose is actually pretty simple. And we complicate it when we ask for advice. And that's just true shit. I'm sorry. I swear, but it's just like the more we ask for advice, the more we distance ourselves from ourselves because we are the holders of why we're here, right? And so I always sort of not make fun, but think about those people who always say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And to me, when someone says, I don't know, it means you don't have a relationship with yourself to even
Mhm.
try to know. And for me, I used to be that person too. Like I would just say, I don't know. And that was a sign for me that I felt like I knew I wasn't trying. That was just like the top coding of just being like, I gave up. I'm not even gonna dig deeper, you know. So purpose. Okay, so how can I say it? So our purpose here mainly is to evolve, is to expand, is to grow and raise the vibration of this planet. That's our deep purpose for being here on this planet. But a lot of us resist what all of that equals, which is change. We resist change. We resist what may be uncomfortable, but we're here to just open and just be, and like a lotus flower, like starts very tight and it opens up. Like that's how we're supposed to be here. And we don't want to do that. We want to stay in what's familiar even though it feels terrible. And so that's how I know what purpose is. So if I'm not expanding, if I'm not evolving, if I'm not growing, if I'm not somehow raising the vibration of this planet, I'm not in my purpose.
Mm.
And so what sort of coats over purpose is passion. Like purpose and passion go hand in hand. So you have your base of your purpose of doing, one of or all of those things, but your passion comes from your human experience. So in your everyday, your passion pops up and we don't even notice it. It pops up in those moments that we don't want to end, right? It pops up in moments where we say, I wish, this could last forever, where, we just feel so good. We're not in our chatter of our conscious mind. We're just being whatever it is we're doing in the moment. That's where your passion, like you said, is like trickling in. And we don't notice those moments enough because we think our purpose has to feel hard, has to feel struggle, has to feel like I have to prove like I deserve this and I have to pursue happiness, which and it makes sense that that is like what majority of the people feel because it's in our, what is it, the Constitution? I don't even know what that thing is called, but it's in there. And so many of us have been taught that is how life should be. We have to pursue it. We have to work hard for happiness. We can't just be happy. That's not deserving, right? Whatever. Don't agree. But I feel like that's what's making people feel like purpose and passion and happiness and all these things they have to be difficult to attain. And it's not meant to be difficult to attain because passion and purpose is in favor of the universe. Like, it's in favor of you, it's in favor of, everyone around us. And when we're in our passions and our purpose, the world lights up and those around us feel either lit up or they'll retreat, and that's their choice. But it's sort of like the example of, I know I've had at least one teacher who I felt did not want to be a teacher. And so they sort of, ripple effect their emotions on, not wanting to be a teacher on us. And so then we have bad experiences with teachers and, our grades may not do well. We may be rebelling in the classroom. And so you can tell when someone's not in their purpose or they're not in their passions, and they may have had experiences that they used to love it but now they don't. They feel like they're not being paid enough for their hard work or whatever it may be. But a job should not determine how much money you make. That's internal, that's not an external factor. So when we rely on the outside world, rely on what's out of us to achieve purpose or tap into passion or, just looking to others to tell us what to do, that's when it starts to get wishy-washy and just starts to get unclear, and we start to doubt ourselves and we don't trust ourselves because we're not spending enough time feeling how we want to feel every day. And that's where passion and purpose is, where you want to feel. What do you want to feel like every day? Do you want to feel, like you have to prove something today, which is a very forceful energy? Or do you want to just feel like bliss, things are just happening for me? And there's a difference, and we thrive in bliss. We don't thrive in struggle. So I would say, overall, for all of that, it's just about knowing how you want to feel. And once you know how you want to feel, you'll start to make boundaries. You'll start to look for experiences that make you feel that way. You'll start to really, the path is laid once you know how you want to feel every day, right? And you just start to do those things. And once you feel the way you want to feel, the universe, life will bring you more experiences to feel that way. So just feel your way into it, and don't ask so many questions from other people. So feeling is the easiest navigation to determine what you want and what you don't want. So that's why I say feel your way instead of saying I want that new car. Well, you want that new car because it's going to make you feel a certain way. So again, follow how you feel first, And all those things will come because you're on that vibration of how you want to feel. So that's what I would say.
Oh my gosh. I'll be honest with you, Briara. I really feel like your magic is your sugar, like the mental sugar that you like give to, like, I'm sure your clients, like whomever talks to you, because it's every single thing that you said. Like, I really wish I could just like write it all down because it's so true.
Yeah.
And um it's crazy because what you brought up is something similar that has been kind of reverberating in my mind, and how to answer that question just to like clients of my own. And it's the addiction to those thoughts, the addiction to
Mm-hmm.
that personality, who that person is, because that person is accepted by their family, as you said, right? Like, it depends
Yeah.
on who's coming to the party
Yeah.
when you get there. It's
Mm-hmm.
the acceptance of the people that we love. It's the gossip that we're included in. It's the this, the that, the third. Even thinking on what you shared before when you were talking about like someone saying to you, like, that person just cut you in line, and it's like you could have snapped back into where you were,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
your mindset was removed out of that addiction, which is
Yeah.
phenomenal, honestly.
Yeah.
you know
I
um
like you said that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. um
Yeah.
so so a lot of people might be listening to that, and they might say, like, okay, like, how do i how do I move out of this space? How do I, like, because there are a lot of people who feel a lot of resistance. They feel a lot of resistance of
Mm-hmm.
change, like you said. And maybe some people might not like to journal, or whatever the case is. Like, um
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of us do, but I also know a lot of us struggle with it. So
Mm-hmm.
what what would be your take on that, if somebody was resistant to the
Yeah.
process?
So one thing, how should I say? One thing that we all have to start with is, I'm just gonna be blunt, okay?
Do it, please. I need it. We all need it. We need bluntness
Okay,
in this life.
so the one thing is that we are leaving this paradigm of having to convince or prove ourselves to people. So I would say if someone is wanting to work with me, I don't need to really convince them of the change they want to happen. Um, I feel like they would already be there. Like, I know I can do this, right? And so if someone were resistant to a certain, I guess, homework, or, whether it's journaling or whatever it may be that I'm showing them to do to open themselves up to themselves, then that's okay. Because I do understand, okay, journaling may not be your cup of tea, but I do feel as though it should be part of the toolbox. But yeah, so I do all kinds of things. The main thing is that we have to exit the mind of chatter. So
Mm.
if someone is resistant to journaling, I also really love chanting. I love chanting with my mom and everything. Or if that's not it, like we do, we love to dance. That is huge too.
Mhm.
Reading an inspiring book. I read this book about we all have to start when we're looking to live a better life, when we're looking to um, just feel better in our everyday, to feel more supported and connected. It all starts with deciding to trust, right? So a lot of us lose trust, especially with ourselves, because we grow up being taught that we can't.
Mhm.
When we're young, we want to be astronauts and celebrities and bakers all in the same lifetime, and we're told that's not possible. You got to choose one. Well, who the damn said I had to, right? So we're being told from a very young age, you can't trust your thoughts. And someone higher than us has to come in and tell us. And that higher person may be telling us this from a place of pain, from a place of jealousy, from a place of, trying to protect us from hurt. We don't know. But we know that them coming to us with that is not our true self. So now we're being bogged down with resistance to ourselves because, they aren't in that swirl of magic anymore. As kids, we're still so close to it, and we know, from a very young age that we create our reality. That's why we want to do all these things. That's why our mind, can see ourselves in outer space, and we're just in the sandbox in the backyard, and like we can see all these things so vividly, and that isn't supported enough. It's feared, I feel, to a certain extent. Like, the kids that have this wild imagination, people think that they need help. And it's just like, bruh, like that's the magic. That's what creates cures in the world. That's what, moves mountains and inspires people and, gets Nobel Peace Prizes. Like that is what needs to be nourished every moment. And so I know that my mantra is that we all heal differently because we come here very different. We have, like, each one of us, our soul has a book of who we were in all these lives. And we come here with that experience. The only reason why we can't remember it all is because we aren't meant to be mentally overwhelmed with everything that we've done and experienced and achieved and maybe have gone through. We only remember what we need to, right? And so with that, we don't know what we're healing at the time, but it's important to take the time to heal it because we come back for a reason. And we may be coming back to, finish something that we didn't finish before, or we may come back to, do something quote unquote right this time, and we can feel that urge. That's where the passion is. That's where your soul is telling you this is what you came here to do. And so we can only truly be our true selves when we choose to trust and follow that we aren't here to feel bad. We're not here to feel like chokeholded in a life that we don't want. Like, and our cultural norms, I'll say, tell us that when life feels hard, then you're deserving of what feels good. And we are here meant to feel good the whole entire way. And so that's what we're returning to. We have to return to that trust of knowing that we thrive in what feels good. And we don't need to prove or convince or, stay at that job for the 2 years to prove to the boss that we deserve to get paid more money. And I remember, so I was working 3 jobs at one time, and it was out of, and I knew it, but I did it anyway. It was out of fear. That's why I got the 2 extra jobs because I recently got a pay cut from one of my jobs, and I was just like, I need to get more money. And I wasn't even thinking rationally. I was just thinking out of fear, like, what if I can't pay my rent, and I have to ask my dad for help, and they take my car, and I was like spiraling. And so I was like, I need more money. And so I went and got more money, got the jobs, but I did not do mental sugar at all. Like the only thing I really got from that was I finally bought the microphone for my podcast. But other than that, I wasn't really doing anything. I wasn't showing up excited. I was so drained. Even in the off time, I was taking naps. Like I just felt so out of whack. And so I realized, I wanted to get the jobs to be more stable, which I technically was, but mentally I wasn't. And I wasn't trying to go back to that place of just feeling, like my life wasn't my own, like I couldn't make my own decisions and things like that. So I was like, Briara, we gotta make this work because I can't do it. And so I quit my 2 jobs, the extra ones I had gotten. And it was so random. With my free time that I had, I've had these the soy wax and all things to make candles sitting in my kitchen since Christmas. And that was my Christmas present to myself. I always wanted to learn how to make candles. And they were just sitting there. And by this time, it was, I think, March or February. And I hadn't touched them. And I was like, okay, we're going to make some candles. I quit my 2 jobs. At least my place will smell good before they take it. I'm just kidding. But I was like, let's make some candles. And it's so funny because I posted a picture of it, one of the candles I made, and underneath it, like I left it for a while. I was, doing other things. I came back to that post and I had about 15 people saying, where can I buy one? And I was just like, oh my gosh. I made space for it, right? I made space for it. I followed what felt good. And it just it happened like magic. So I was not expecting to set up an Etsy shop and sell candles, but that's what I do on like the side now. And it's something I enjoy doing. Like we all want to have that like witchy, like, magical vibe to us these days.
Yes,
And
we
so
do.
making candles was like my way of like feeling very herbalisty, and you know what I mean? And so it fed a lot of parts of my soul, and so yeah, so that's why I say, like, you always have the answers, even if it doesn't make sense of why you're doing something. It's coming from either like a past life of a part of you telling you just do it, or it's coming from you right now because you're in this life, and Briara, you've learned trust either the universe or trust your behaviors. Because I know when I do X, Y happens. So the law of cause and effect. And so I knew that when I feel good, my mind just feels like, the top of my head is like lifted off, and it just feels so airy, and it just feels like, there is no heaviness, right? And so that's the feeling we need to like embody, is just, that airy, you know, feeling. And before, it was taken up with space of like, oh, I don't want to go to that job. Oh, the customers, they hate me. And, my boss is going to get on me because I'm late again because I don't want to come here. And like all these things. And I was just like, Briara, your mind is so clouded with these thoughts that are doing nothing for you besides make you feel even more terrible. So when those things were removed, I had space to be like, okay, what do I want to do? I want to make candles. And, and it just goes on from there. So, yeah.
So I want to put into perspective for everybody, for everyone who looks at us as like examples, right, of like, where we are and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Both of us, like I've shared my story, she's sharing her story right now. Like, we are not perfect individuals. Like, we are not, like, it's not, we didn't wake up one day and all of a sudden we were just magic. Like, I mean, like, we were always magic, and you're magic yourself, but like, it didn't, it's not one of those things. Like, we're not preaching that
Mm-mm.
you could wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, and that everything's great. Like, time is the lesson here, really. Like, you spoke on time a lot. Like, it's really the trust in time that you really need to allot for yourself, because and I just want to emphasize this really quick, a lot of people genuinely are afraid of time. A lot of people are like, because of the instant gratification, they think that, if you start doing something today, we're going to be made of this tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I wanted to highlight it because you know, you yourself, like looking at you, you have an amazing smile, you have an amazing look to you, like you literally like radiate your mission, you know, and like
Oh, yay.
and you know,
So,
I've been told the same thing, but I wanted
yeah.
to be real here, you know, and like let you guys know that like, you know, her story is really based around her trust in herself, which is what like we really both are encouraging for you, as well as the trust in time and your higher self and pretty pens,
Mhm.
because fluffy
Yes.
fun pens are so much fun. They're so much fun.
Yes. They are like invest or like I don't know, it's something about it. And I bought
So nice.
24 of these pins. Like, girl, I was like, this is not go. I can't not have them. So I get it. Like a nice pen, a cute journal, and um, I do understand. Like time is what I had to like become friends with, right? We have to become friends with time because, and really understand that we come back again. I feel like believing that and knowing that, and the more we spend time with ourselves, we can sort of feel that. Like things are not like it doesn't come to an end once we, you know, pass, right? I
Mhm.
feel like, and I know for me, like I wanted to rush through things because I felt like life and time is going too fast, and people don't like birthdays because it's another year. And I feel like people get into that feeling because they aren't doing what they love. I feel like people dread time because they feel unconsciously or consciously that they aren't fulfilling what they came here to fulfill. Because when you're in a passion, that's an every moment, everyday feeling. Like it just feels like, yes, like this was a great, like almost like majority of your days will feel lit up when you're in a passion or in your purpose, no matter what it is. You could, want to start like a graphic tee business. I've always wanted to do that, so that's on my list. But it's just like when you're in those things and doing it, like time actually feels like it's going slow. Like it just feels like you're in the moment. It doesn't feel like, you wake up at 9, you're in your job, you're watching the clock because you can't wait until lunch so you can leave, and then you're dreading when you come back, and then it's 5 o'clock and you're off, and you only have like 3 hours or so before you have to get ready for bed. It's just like when you're in those moments, and not to say that every job makes everyone feel that way, because, there are a lot of cool jobs out there, but for the people that are feeling like life feels like time feels heavy or bad or anxious or makes you feel nervous, I feel like it all comes from you're not doing the thing you came here to do. Because if you're doing the thing you came here to do, life feels like it's happening for you, right? You're in alignment with something bigger than, looking at the clock. Because you wouldn't be looking at the clock if you were doing something that you love, right?
Mhm.
So I feel like in making friends with time, you must reconnect to why you're here, and then time makes sense. You
Mhm.
know, the more we feel uncomfortable with time, the more we feel uncomfortable with time, the tighter the bondage is to the cultural norms that we're, struggling through. Like bondage is just like you're not here to feel bonded by, things that make you feel less than or not enough. Like all that was learned either in this life or the life before, but you're here to release yourself from that. So in time, you're able to love time. Just be like, oh my gosh, I have another day to do what makes you feel freaking great. And you start to love time and every day, and you know why you're here, really. So it all sources from why you're here. Once you're doing the thing of why you're here, life, it just makes sense. You don't stress it. You just love every moment that you get. So, yeah.
Oh man, if I could like just call in like a whole arena of people just to like clap and be like, yes, I totally would. I just want to say, you know, like seriously from the bottom of my heart, like we, you know, so everybody knows, like we really like I said, we were talking via DM and like we connected because, you know, unfortunately I knew somebody who unfortunately took their life, and what you just said means so much to me because, you know, there are so many people out there who are suffering just like she did. And they are just in these like dark spiraling thoughts where they feel like there's no way out, and the only way out is to do that particular thing. And because I didn't give a trigger warning, I don't want to like really go into it, but
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that I say like seriously thank you to the aspect of, like to everything that you said, but to you talking about how there is this beautiful there's this beautiful concept of hope that is literally in us. It is like it has been birthed in us every time that we come back here, and I just, you know, I literally just I have so much gratitude to like every word, every single word. Where
Yay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate this. I've loved your energy the first time I saw you. Like, you have the cutest face. I just I was just like, look at her. And she dances. We're gonna be friends. So we made it happen.
yes, we did. Yes, we did. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And before we close, I want to ask you: is
Yeah.
there something that you feel called to say before we close? I feel like there's like you always got you know I'm getting this. You always got some sugar in you all the time. So
Okay, let me see. There might be something. The first thing that came to me was channel your blessings. So be aware of the blessings that you have at every moment of every day. And even when they're hard to find, they're really not. You know, you can touch your heart, or you know, realize you can see, you can smell, you can taste, you can feel, you can learn, you can walk, right? Like, these are all blessings. We don't have to have them because there are plenty of people that don't. So channel your blessings, and that's how you get more. That's how you get more blessings. So
oh
that's
my
what I got.
gosh, thank you so much, Briara. I appreciate you. This has
Yeah.
been like full of so much color and so much life. Like you know, like seriously guys, when you check out her Instagram, it's mental_sugar. Like, it's fabulous, and you'll see literally full of color. Like, you exude the joy of life, and I just want to
Oh,
make sure that I tell you that seriously.
oh, thank you so much. It's been a journey to get here, but worth every step, every tear. So I
Amen.
appreciate it.
Amen. Thank you guys. Thank you so much to Briara again, and thank you guys so much for listening to Woman Magic. We will be back next Thursday. Tune in, but for now, have a fabulous week, and we'll see you guys really soon.